be my guest. And today we have Carol Lewis and Nancy Whalen, and they are the co-directors of the Healing Heart Hospitality House. And I met these two ladies at the UMass Memorial Campus at Hanneman. I'm on the Patient and Family Advisory Council, and they came to share with us what they are trying to get done, which is a beautiful thing, with the Hospitality House. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who would, I'm learning too. Who would like to tell us about, starting with about how you got the idea, where you want to go with it?
We can talk about our dream.
This is Carol.
How it developed into what we're going to do.
Go ahead.
Well, actually, I've worked at UMass Memorial for over 30 years, and I originally started in as a patient financial counselor, and I would have to discharge people from the hospital that had been in there for lengthy periods of time with large bills. And I was newly married, and I had just was pregnant with my son, and there was a lady whose son had lost his leg in a motorcycle accident. And she lived out in the Springfield area, and she had a mentally challenged daughter that she had to bring back and forth. And he was in the hospital for over a month, and it was very difficult for her to travel back and forth. And I helped her get disability for her son, and she was just so grateful and so wonderful. She brought me a baby gift. I was expecting my son, and she brought me a baby gift and a bottle of champagne when I got her son disability. And I thought, gee, if there was only a place for her she could have stayed closer.
There you go. This is where we have this on now. This is going to help a lot of people.
Exactly. So over the years, with Carol, I worked with Carol. I shared my dream of having a hospitality house, and at first I thought I lived close to the hospital, I would open my home. But then the more we explored the options of starting a hospitality house, we found that there's an organization that is offered to all the hospitality houses across the country called National Hospital Hospitality Houses.
National Hospitality.
It's called NAHHH.org.
Okay. That's a long one.
It is.
Yeah.
But they have over 150 hospitality houses across the country, and their main mission is to help hospitality start up. So I thought, we don't have to invent the wheel.
Yeah.
They have a manual on how to do it online. They have resources. We ended up going to Minnesota to the Mayo Clinic.
You went there together.
Yes.
To their annual convention. We saw all the hospitality houses around there, and the president at the time is a family practice physician, and he asked how many beds were in Worcester, and I said, about 1,500. He said, you don't need a house, you need a vacant hotel.
Oh, definitely.
So we decided at that time that my house was way too small.
Yeah. So now the goal is to, if you have a loved one who's in the hospital, and you need a place to stay. That's the premise. If you have no place, let's say if you're from way outside of Worcester, in our area, and you need a place to stay while your loved one's in the hospital. So this is what the hospitality house is about, right?
Exactly.
That's right.
Right now there's only Sherry's House and Hope Lodge, which are for cancer patients, which is wonderful. But if you have any other disease, or you were picked up by the helicopter and brought through the trauma center, the only other options are hotels.
Other hotels. And that's costly.
That's $125 average a night.
So your goal is to provide a cozy, happy, safe shelter for families who are from out of town and have nowhere to go, probably don't have the resources for a motel. I know a lot of us would. What are you going to do?
Especially if the major wage earner is the one that's in the hospital, and the family is, now they're out of that income, and they have to pay for gas or sleep in the hotel room, occasionally, or sleep by a bed, in a chair by the bedside.
Right.
And it's very difficult, and it's very stressful.
Yes.
And we've learned that through these hospitality houses, that they support each other through their crisis. And it's very hard. There are, we looked into having patients' families go to individual homes, but they are isolated there.
Yeah, and they don't know. I think the idea of a hospitality house is like a group type of thing, and everyone's in the same boat.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yes.
Now,
It's very supportive.
right. So, So, how do you launch this type of thing? I mean, are you going to have to? Will they help you fund finding a place?
First, we incorporated,
Yeah.
and then the next thing that we did was to get a board, get our board together. And it was family and friends, and that's how you always start out any venture. Your family and friends are so supportive of you, and so you depend on them to help you do this. And then we got our 501c3,
Yep.
which are
Now, what's a
family.
501c3?
A 501c3 helps us to be tax exempt,
Oh, good.
so
Okay.
that when
Yeah.
we get donations, that people can can get it tax-free.
Gotcha.
A break when they.
So it could be
give
like
us a donation.
people donating. What about a fundraising? You had talked with me about that.
Yeah.
We've got to get the word out. What are your plans for that?
Well, we have done some fundraising, and we gave a 50-60 dance,
Yo?
and that was kind of fun.
Where was that?
We had it in Worcester at
The IGM Club?
Yeah,
The
Lake
IGM
Avenue.
Oh, okay. All right.
On Lake
Yeah.
Avenue
Yeah.
in Worcester, yeah.
And that was a fundraiser.
Yeah,
Couples,
and-
yeah.
And then we did calendar raffle, and then we had another big event last November to get our name out again, and we gave honors to certain people in our community to say thank you for the things that they have done for us, and so now we're in the process of not really always going for, buying the house, because we found that with our marketing manager has established programs for us to do, that we can help patients' families now before we actually have a house, because it is a big project.
Well, so now what are they going to do? What is that? Helping them now? How's that?
Okay. Well, first we're going to do things like this show. It's nice to get our name out there. Go to business expos. We've gone to the Douglas Family Fair.
Oh, yeah.
We had a booth there, and the business expos. We belong to the Center for Women Enterprise, and the Massachusetts Nonprofit Association, and we go to their seminars, and so we do things like that. We get booths and set up, and so that they can, so we can get our name, out that way.
You might want to get on the Worcester Business Journal. We had, as a guest, we had editor Rick Saya, and he's a great guy. And you might want to get word out through that. That's just another venue to do it through.
Well, we're open to anything that we can do that'll, let people know that this is a service that is really needed.
What kind of a house are you thinking? Like a triple decker? I mean, that's going to cost. This isn't going to happen overnight, right?
We want to have bedrooms and as many bathrooms as we can,
Right.
but common space, because we want to hold the integrity of a hospitality house, so that people will have that camaraderie of they're all in this together, and they can share what's going on with them. And people like to tell their story, and like to know that people, are listening, and people that are going through the same things, really have a sense of, well, yeah, that happened to me too. So,
do you think that this is something that will be off the ground within the year?
Well, recently we partnered with Dodge Park Rest Home,
Oh, they're good.
and they have been so generous. We're working on our policies and procedures, and we're ready to implement the program. But they have offered to have free parking, because it gets very expensive to park at the hospitals. They will offer their shuttle service to bring the patients back to their Dodge Park, give them breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
And if they do not want to leave the hospital, they've offered to pack up lunches for them
Oh my.
to bring to the hospital.
Wow.
They've offered laundry service, and they have this beautiful, they call it the beautiful room,
Yeah.
that has TVs and couches. If they want to get away from the hospital, they can spend some time resting and reconnecting with their families if they have computer service.
Sure.
And
Bedrooms there? Would they be allowed to stay overnight for a while?
actually, they don't have any
Okay.
rooms.
So you kind of have to doze off there, and
But they've essentially given us a real start in
yes,
having a
definitely,
hospitality.
yeah.
And like we said, like to help patients' families now before we actually have a house. But also in they call it the beautiful room. It is a beautiful room that we're going to give caretaker support talks.
Right.
And we're going to invite people to come and to open it up to the public and for them to talk to them for stress reduction, and maybe we'll have a nutritionist speak. And so we're going to try to schedule that on a monthly basis to have those support talks there at.
That's so important,
yeah.
the support groups. I know that we've had trials and tribulations, in our own family, and I know that support groups are absolutely amazing. And the use of a phone and your email to connect with other people who are going through, maybe not the exact same thing, but there's a common bond that you're going through it.
Yeah.
And that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. You're getting closer, though.
We also have another program that we've put together, Heartfelt Essentials,
Mhm.
for the families that sometimes they've just, not brought the necessary things they need to stay with the patient. So we're going to have little bags of toothpaste, toothbrushes. We ask if people don't want to donate, maybe they have gift cards to Target or Walmart or to a restaurant.
Oh, I love that. Oh.
Yeah, and then, little reading material or puzzles and games for children that might be with the parents. Just, so they can pass the time.
So
while
this
they're
isn't just
visiting.
UMass, right? It's UMass, St. V's,
The area hospital.
right in the Worcester area.
Yes.
What's the closest hospitality house in our area here in Massachusetts?
I think it's in Brookline.
Oh, it's out in Boston. Have
Yeah,
you visited
Boston.
it? Did you take a look?
We have been to different hospitality houses. I know Boston has 15.
15? And we have to
Yeah.
get one up. Oh my gosh.
And we have two, which are for the cancer patients,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah.
they are so anxious for us to get started because people are always calling to see if they have room, and they have to reserve it for their cancer patients.
Okay, so the 15 in Boston are for the cancer patient families?
No, for all illnesses.
For all. So you can actually pick their brains for some helpful hints, right?
We have gone to them.
Yeah.
We have gone to the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
We have visited different hospitality houses through the conventions in North Carolina. We went to their hospitality house. They actually had a small one that was walking distance across from the hospital.
Oh, how perfect. Oh,
And then we went to one that was started by a physician, and it was absolutely gorgeous. They did have a shuttle back and forth to the hospital, but it was brand new. It was built on a ledge that overlooked woods, and each room had a deck
Yeah.
with their own bathroom.
Oh.
It was beautiful. And then they had a common kitchen
yeah.
and family room and TV room for the children.
How receptive, I know UMass was receptive having you come to our council meeting. How about St. V's? Have you approached them yet on this?
We have not. We have initially invited them to our fundraiser, but they weren't able to attend.
How about their PFAC, their Patient Family Advisory Council? If you could speak there, like you did with ours.
Now that we have these
Well,
programs
Yeah.
that were recently implemented,
Yeah.
we are starting to talk to the area hospitals.
That's wonderful.
Before,
Yeah.
we felt kind of going in a vicious circle because we didn't have a house, we didn't really have anything to offer them. But now that we've implemented these programs, we have more, especially with Dodge Park. They have been such a blessing to our organization.
We're talking again about the Heart Hospitality House. Have I?
Healing Heart.
Healing Heart
Heart
Hospitality House.
yeah.
And this is the brainstorm of Carol of Carol Lewis and Nancy Whalen. And you know, if you're from out of town, you have nowhere to stay, and you've got a patient who was brought in an emergency, extremely critical basis at whether it be St. V's or UMass. I mean, how many of us could afford to stay in a hotel every single night? You can't do it. So you're thinking, what am I going to do? Are they going to travel to Brookline? I mean, that's that's a long haul,
far.
and you're already stressed out. I mean, you can sleep in the waiting room up there. I know the floors at UMass, and the nurses are great. Here's a pillow, here's a blanket. But it's not the same thing as what you're offering. It's like coming to a home where everybody has the thing in common, that they have a loved one in there, and they can have the support of each other. Very often, if you're just in a waiting room, well, that person may be going home the next day, but it's not the same as what you're going through. The trauma of the person being there maybe for longer.
Well, that is why we want to have a house in the Worcester, in the city, because it says that it's not effective if they have to travel more than 5 to 7 miles.
I agree.
So
I
if
agree.
we have it in that radius, so if someone has a house out there that would like to let us use.
Does it have to look a certain way? I mean, it has to. How many bedrooms do you want?
Well, we want to start out, maybe 4 or 5 bedrooms.
Okay.
And see how that works. We can also have 2 places, but basically the common space would be nice to have.
Right.
An open living room,
Yeah.
and then you have your cabinet space where you can bring your food, because the traveling back and forth for a long distance, you can bring your groceries and put them in the refrigerator and a cabinet space.
Right.
And so, because that cuts down on the expense of going out to restaurants all the time.
I would think that, in the Worcester area, there's got to be a 2-story or even a triple. You could make the, I don't know, I would think
Bottom floor.
somebody, if they could donate something like that. I mean, just think about the feedback for them.
Well, it'd just be
Yes.
wonderful. And when you look at the Worcester area hospitals, they're all within 5 miles of each
Oh,
other.
yeah.
And there's UMass, and then there's Hanneman, and then there's doctors, and there's a new recovery center, which is just opening, and I think they're going to have like 320 beds.
Right.
And then there's a St. Vincent's
Memorial.
and Memorial,
Yeah.
and they're all, you
Yeah.
know, so to get a house that would be close would be perfect,
Yeah.
because then it could utilize all the, families that could utilize all the hospitals.
Yeah, in a safe neighborhood. You want to be sure.
Exactly.
You want it safe so that when families come, they don't feel like they're going to have to not only lock their car, but bring the car in the house with them, that type of thing. It's tricky in Worcester. It is.
It
Again, I've lived in Worcester, and you got to be careful. It's not like if we were out here in the suburbs, and let's say you have Milford Hospital. Well, you pretty much can guarantee it's going to be pretty good. But out, it's a big city, but your dream is basically to at least start with a place that has 4 or 5 bedrooms, a common area, which would be the living room probably, right? The kitchen, probably plenty of parking space.
Laundry facilities.
Laundry, yeah. Will
Parking
someone?
will probably be a trick.
That's They might end up. Well, it depends on how many families you have.
Yeah.
At least one will have a car, I would guess. Especially if they came in on an emergency basis.
We are just so open to
Yeah.
anything,
I think that's great.
at this point we are. very
What about a
open.
motel that would be willing to, it's another idea, part of a motel that might,
We're open to anything. Right now, we are working with the area hotels, asking if they could donate a few nights here and there.
perfect.
While we're
Yeah.
fundraising to establish a house.
What do they say?
We have gotten some free rooms from the house, the Holiday Inn in Fitchburg. We're going up there this
In
afternoon.
Fitchburg, okay.
They have the water park, Cocoa Keys.
Okay.
So it'd be a
It's a
great
start.
place for a respite. If you've
Yeah.
been in the hospital all week and you have a family,
Yeah.
you can go up and spend the day. They have a indoor water park, and they've offered a few rooms. We're also meeting with people in Sturbridge.
Mm-hmm.
We've been fortunate to work with For the Cause Dave Roth, who's
Mhm.
our marketing agent,
Mhm.
and what he does is work with nonprofits it matches them up to companies. The companies
profit.
get good publicity for helping nonprofits.
Right.
And he also works with Warmer Winters. They do knitting for hats and mittens and scarves.
I think I know the lady who
Blankets.
started that.
Mm.
It's up. Is it in Fitchburg?
Yes.
Yes.
She sends me the newsletter, and I keep saying, when are you going to start getting something down my way? I can't keep commuting up to Fitchburg.
And they're going to
Well, they'll
donate to
give
us,
Yeah.
and, you know, for blankets, for our hats or scarves, and people
Yeah,
that have come up from. There was a young girl who needed a transplant.
Mhm.
Her mother was from Florida. She didn't have any warm clothes, and I think the transplant department, took up a collection to help the mother. But there's such a need.
Definitely. I would think that the hotel right across from UMass, I can think of Ceres Bistro.
Beechwood.
The Beechwood.
Mhm.
Certainly they must have a couple rooms that they could give up once in a while, I would think. But have you approached them yet?
Yes.
You did, and it didn't work out. Okay. Somebody's going to give and somebody isn't. I mean, that's, unfortunately, that's the way it is in life. There are philanthropists out there. I am one of them.
They
and
do
they're,
give
you
a
know,
rate reduction.
That's
but
not going to help
it
most
is
people.
Still,
It's a long haul. If that person's going to be in there a month or more, I can't think of any family I know, and they're not destitute, but none of the families I know could do that. It's just, especially on the QT, unless you want to max out a credit card for the first couple days, and who can do that?
Most people can't.
No. A lot of them don't even have a credit card.
Just even trying to travel back and forth,
Yeah.
the price of gas and the parking.
That's
and
it.
then the meals,
Right.
just being away. I know I live locally, and just in the past month, first my son was in for a week, then my husband was in for a week, then my son was in for another week, and I just thought, wow, I've had to pay for parking each time, and it really added up, and I thought,
Oh, definitely.
I am so blessed to live close that I
Yeah.
can go home.
Right.
But it must be terrible for patients, families that are trying to stay and
Yeah.
support their loved one, and they're already stressed out with the travel and the lack of finances.
Healing Heart Hospitality House. Can you give a connect number or email to the viewers?
Yes, our website is healinghearthouse.org.
Yeah.
We have a P.O. box. It's 2432 Worcester, Massachusetts, if you'd like to send in a donation.
What's the zip code?
01613.
01613.
And
Okay.
all our contact number is on our website.
Mm-hmm.
And we are also part of the Boston Foundation. And if you go to their website, you can donate on that. And they
Mhm.
have our profile, our financial profile, and a little bit about our history. And
Do you need anything if people can't afford to donate, but they want to be a philanthropist the other way, give of themselves and help you out? Do you need any sweat equity?
oh boy, we could use all the volunteers.
yeah.
See, this is where I come in. I like this part. If I could donate millions, I would. I mean, that's just me, but I can't. But so, what do you need?
We could use gift cards. We could use heartfelt essentials, toothbrushes, toothpaste. We could use volunteers to help us distribute them.
Okay, volunteers to distribute them to the families who are visiting in the hospital.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Also, we're looking for board members. With the expertise in, we are lawyers or data entry or financial, people.
People who are good technically.
Yes.
Okay.
Accountants.
So when you have, let's say when you're picturing, you're opening up your first hospitality house in Worcester or close, what do you picture? You're going to need volunteers. How many volunteers do you think you would need, and what would be the hours? Round the clock?
You need to have somebody there 24 hours. They usually have a live-in person.
Okay, that person would be paid, I would assume.
Yeah.
And then other people coming in might be volunteers?
Most of the hospitality houses do operate with volunteers.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And,
That's good.
they have the key people that do the financial and coordinating the services, but the volunteers will man the desk and help the families and coordinate the services.
That sounds really good. So, could you vision how many volunteers you would need? Or like?
Well, the key from people being burnt out,
Yeah.
You know, you could have as many
As you need, right?
10, 15,
Right.
you know, to work in a cycle that, you know, so people won't be there all the time. Because
Carol's
it's
the
a
expert
24.
on the expert. She worked with
Volunteer
volunteer services at
services, yes.
UMass.
You were, oh, did you know Jody?
Yes, I do.
Oh, she's, you know, I'm a few volunteer over there, and I did the greeting at UMass. You walk in, and it's like, ask me.
Oh, okay.
I put an ear on that one. I remember that. So, that's interesting that you helped run that. How long ago was that?
Well, that was before I had my cancer. I'm a survivor.
Yeah.
And so it was in 2003.
That's why I don't know you, because I didn't come in till, well, when I joined the other volunteer, the PFAC. That's why I just missed you by a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
interesting. I wish you were back. You were the director of volunteers?
Yeah, well, I was a coordinator with Jody, and Jody was my boss. Yeah.
Oh boy, we'd like to have you back.
Ah.
Any chance? That would be cool.
Well, I'm really kind of stretched with Healing Heart Hospitality
Oh.
House. We really want to get this going, and like I said, that we've had hurdles, you
Yeah.
know, with Nancy's husband has been sick, and I have had time to heal.
You're both miracles, right?
Yeah. So.
If any, you know, we have a wide audience, people watching online. You're from a different state, maybe a different country, but if you have any ideas, any helpful ideas to put into this Healing Heart Hospitality House idea, if where you live, if you have them in near your major hospitals for people who want to stay there, they need to because they have a loved one in the hospital for quite a while, and you don't have the money for a hotel. If you have any ideas that you would like to scoot their way, contact again is
healinghearthouse.org on our website. And our P.O. box is 2432 Worcester, Mass. 01613.
And also, if somebody would like to contact me, my email is jjl, all small, jjl3000@verizon.net. And if you have any ideas to help this get off the ground more, let me know, and I can pass it on to Carol Lewis and Nancy Whalen, and we can maybe, you know, put all of our heads together because this is extremely needed. I know it. Having we're over at UMass, we have a lot of families. That's why when they came and spoke at the council I belong to, my ears just went right up like this. I said, this is fantastic. Before we close, have you got any more speaking engagements to do to get the word out?
Actually, we have a radio program we're going to do on the 22nd.
Where, in Milford?
At Dodge Park.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
they have just been so wonderful to us and all. So that's our next
All right.
thing.
That's
that
your
we're
next
going
thing.
to do.
They have their own radio
Yeah.
station. Oh, that sounds wonderful. Well, let me know so that I can. Is it FM, AM?
We
We don't
really
know.
don't know
We
the
just
let it
details
go.
at
All right,
this
I want to hear.
time.
Okay, if I can hear it, let me
We
know.
will let you know.
Very good. Thank you again.
And we want to put all this on our website too. So.
Oh, definitely. Oh, good. Okay, that's a good way to do it. This is really great, folks. I mean, when you talk about caring about other people, this is big. Thank you again, Nancy
Thank
and
you for your
Carol.
opportunity
Thank you for
for
this opportunity.
And we'll see you next time and be my guest.